Good morning! At a time when most sane people are heading back from the pubs and clubs, I'm heading off to Leeds to pick Andrew up. I'm heading off to the Lake District, specifically Westwater and probably Derwent Water, in the hopes of getting a sunrise. The bit of a last minute decision last night to do this. Weather report is looking perfect. We have blue skies, we have sunshine, we have no wind. We should be in, hopefully, for some perfect reflections and a nice bit of colour in the sky. We decided we needed a tonic after getting waterlogged last weekend in Scotland. Weather conditions like this don't occur that often. So we thought we'll make the most of it, we'll jump in the car and we'll head off. It's just turned British summertime, so it's just gone 2 o'clock. I'm feeling rather weary. Very little sleep last night. My cunning plan of going to bed at 8:30 didn't actually work because I didn't get to sleep. But hey ho, such is life. So I will see you when we get there. We made it to Westwater and some wonderful country lanes just in the nick of time. We got here to see the probably the best sunrise I've seen on a shoot in ages. We did really well time-wise. It's 2 3/4, 2 hours 50 to get here, which was great going. And in the background we have, you can just see, I know I've disappeared, little snow-capped peaks. That's where the sunrise was. The wind is rippling the water slightly more than we imagined it was going to, but we can't complain. It was so worth getting up at 1:30 this morning to drive here. I've done a couple of long exposures. I've had 2 different locations, 2 different compositions. Currently, I'm opting for a portrait composition, which if I just nip in front of the camera, there we go, we're all set up. I'm shooting at f/13. I'm on manual. I've got an exposure time of around about 3 minutes. I'm trying to pick up the snow on the top of the mountains, along with, I don't know if you can make this out, yeah, the lovely cloud formations that we have up there. I've got the Lee 10 stop on to smooth out the ripples in the water, which you can see are happening down here. I've got the polarizer on to help bring out the reflections. And I've got a reverse grad on because the sky is considerably brighter than the water, and obviously the hills on either side. So hopefully the reverse grad will just ease the exposure. It'll even it out somewhat. So it's been going for around about 3 minutes now. So we shall just see what we've got. Yeah, and if you can just see that. But I'll put the shot up next anyway. So it was well worth a trip up here. The plan from here is to go to Thirlmere and have a scout around there. It's not somewhere we spent a huge amount of time. We called in briefly on the way back from Keswick at the last trip, but we're thinking of maybe a wild camp up there one evening. So we're going to have a scout around in daylight hours and see what we can find. And then it's home in time for lunch. I'd just give you a quick spin round Thirlmere water. It's a man-made reservoir, and we've stopped here for what you can see in front of you, which is the absolutely amazing reflections. There is a slight ripple on the water, but nothing that really shows up when you shoot it. So I've taken a couple of compositions, one including this area here, and then another straight across here, where you can see there's a small bunch of trees, small group of trees with some rocks in the middle, and I've zoomed in really close on that. The initial shot I did using the rock that you can see down here as some foreground interest, not that it's really needed when you have reflections like this, because that's what the shot's about, the reflections. I'm just stuck with the usual f13, 100 ISO, and I was getting an exposure time of around about 1 minute and 20 seconds using the Lee 10 stop, the polarizer, and a soft 0.6 grad, just to even out the exposure slightly, because the water is slightly darker than the sky. This is the edge of Thirlmere. We've scrambled down here. We're not entirely sure we're meant to be down here, but it is beautifully warm. Not a soul about. So we're going to stay here for a short while and then go off in search of something else before heading home. We've made our way down to the other side of Thirlmere, and the reason we've come down is when we arrived there were no ripples on the water at all. It was beautifully still, and we had lovely reflections of the snow-capped hills in the background on the water. The wind's picked up a little bit now, and the noise you can hear in the background is a little waterfall. So we took a few shots before the wind picked up, simple straightforward compositions, shooting straight across the water. Again, f13, f14, I was getting around about a minute 10 seconds using the Lee 10 stop and the polarizer. And the polarizer really made the snow pop and the colour on the hills pop out as well. So few people around, it's amazing. But it's turned into a gloriously warm day. We managed to take sweatshirts and thermals off, wandering around just in t-shirts. So from here I think we're going to head possibly to Rydal Water, just to see what's about, and then we really need to go home. Today's jaunt has been all about reflections and snow-covered mountains, and we've done really well. Every place we've landed at, and we've been to Thirlmere, we started off at Westwater and now we're down at Rydal Water. Every time we've arrived the reflections have still been going. As you can see out there, the ripples are starting, although there seems to be very little breeze. It's just such a glorious day. It's 13-14 degrees. I've done a couple of quick shots down here, nothing spectacular. And there's a little boathouse over there, which I've used the 70-200 on, just handheld shots, just to see what the results are. I'm still practicing with the 70-200. And then I've done a couple of shots out across this area here, using a couple of rocks as foreground interest, and the 10 stop, because the ripples were just starting to pick up. And again, f14, I was getting a minute's exposure using the Lee 10 stop and the polarizer just to really bring the colours out. It's been a fabulous day. Beginning to feel a bit weary now. I was up at 1:30 this morning. It's now around about 12:30 in the afternoon, and we're going to be heading home soon. We're going to stop probably at the Lama Kama Cafe for a bit of lunch, come breakfast, and then head for home. But yeah, we're gonna do more of these because this has been really good fun. And nowhere is busy. Very, very strange. I thought we would have been hustling and bustling for places to stand because the weather is just fantastic. So thanks for watching. I'll catch you again. Bye.